Inside the Crown Court, the usual buzz of legal proceedings filled the air. It was a day like many others, with dozens of cases lined up before Judge Victor Harrington. But today, an unexpected spectacle would arrive that would challenge even the most rigid of procedures. Judge Harrington was known for his steely demeanor. His face, usually as expressionless as a stone monument, was a reflection of his years of experience. A judge who had seen it all. He didn't smile, didn't show mercy, and certainly didn't tolerate any disruption in his courtroom. His reputation for being ruthless was unmatched, and no one dared challenge him. Yet, as he entered the courtroom that morning, something seemed different. The usual calm air of the courtroom seemed a little more tense than usual, as if the building itself were holding its breath. Today's docket consisted mostly of routine cases, a handful of petty thefts, some minor disputes. Nothing special, really. But when the next case was called, it was as though the air shifted. Lieutenant Nicholas Blackwood, a Royal Guard, stood in the doorway. His uniform was impeccable. Shiny red coat, gold buttons gleaming in the dim light, and his iconic bear-skin hat perched atop his head like a crown. He was a soldier, a figure of tradition and pride. But today, he wasn't on duty at Buckingham Palace or standing in front of tourists. He was here in an official capacity, summoned by the court as a witness for a case that seemed as routine as any other. As he entered, all eyes turned to him. Even the usually unflappable Judge Harrington couldn't mask his surprise. A Royal Guard? Here? In his courtroom? This was unusual. The judge, who prided himself on running a strict, efficient court, found himself momentarily distracted by the figure standing before him. There was an immediate sense of awe and respect in the room, and even the attorneys, who often maintained a cold, professional distance, were momentarily thrown off by the sight of the Royal Guard's imposing figure. The Guard's presence was both a symbol of stability and an interruption. It was clear that this case wasn't going to unfold the way Harrington had planned. The judge's eyes narrowed as he processed what was happening. Blackwood was summoned to testify as a character witness for a case involving a tourist who had made an obscene and disruptive attempt to mock the Royal Guard at the palace. The tourist had been caught on film, mocking Blackwood's stance, poking fun at the Royal Guard's discipline and professionalism. This wasn't just a minor disturbance. It was an affront to the entire institution. Judge Harrington's voice cut through the quiet hum of the courtroom. "Lieutenant Blackwood, are you aware that you're not here in your military capacity today, but as a civilian witness? I trust you will conduct yourself appropriately." Blackwood straightened up, his posture impeccable. "Yes, Your Honor," he replied, his voice firm but calm. "I'm here in an official capacity, and I will conduct myself as such." Harrington's eyes narrowed as he scrutinized Blackwood. "Your uniform, Lieutenant. I'm sure you realize it's rather out of place in this courtroom. It's a distraction, to put it bluntly." Blackwood stood his ground. "Your Honor, I understand your concern. But this uniform is more than just a costume. It represents centuries of tradition. It's not for show. I wear it with pride, as a symbol of the duty I've sworn to uphold." Harrington, who was known for his sharp wit, smiled coldly. "I see. You're here to tell us that the uniform represents something larger than yourself. How very noble." The room seemed to hold its breath. The judge's biting tone didn't seem to faze Blackwood, who had faced much worse in his years of service. Yet, there was an underlying tension, something more than just a battle of words. The case was about to take a sharp turn, and neither the judge nor the Royal Guard were ready for what was coming next. Suddenly, a commotion erupted from the back of the courtroom. A man, obviously a tourist, stood up yelling, "You're nothing but a puppet, just standing there like a statue." The man's words hung in the air, harsh and accusatory. It was the very same tourist who had mocked Blackwood's discipline at Buckingham Palace. His voice was dripping with derision as he turned to face the Royal Guard. "What are you supposed to be? A statue that doesn't move? What happens if someone tries to break you?" The courtroom fell silent as everyone watched the tourist approach Blackwood, as if daring him to react. Blackwood remained perfectly still, his face impassive. He didn't flinch, but the tension was palpable. Harrington, realizing the magnitude of what was unfolding, slammed his gavel down. "Enough," he shouted. "This is a courtroom, not a circus. I will have order." But it was too late. The tourist had already crossed the line, and Blackwood's patience was beginning to wear thin. The royal guard took a step forward, his eyes fixed on the man who dared to challenge him. The tourist seemed to be relishing the attention, as if he had already won. "Do you know who you're speaking to?" Blackwood asked, his voice low and menacing. The tourist smirked. "Oh, I know exactly who you are. Just a man in a ridiculous uniform. You're nothing special." That was the breaking point. With a single movement, Blackwood reached out and, without saying another word, grabbed the tourist by the collar. The room went still. "You've disrespected more than just a uniform," Blackwood said, his voice steady. But there was a fire behind his words. "You've disrespected every soldier who has ever stood in that uniform. Every soldier who has bled and sacrificed for this country's freedom. You've forgotten what it means to serve, to be loyal." The tourist, realizing the enormity of his mistake, tried to pull away, but Blackwood's grip tightened. Judge Harrington, finally realizing the gravity of the situation, called for a recess. The courtroom erupted into murmurs, but the tension between Blackwood and the tourist was unbroken. As the recess continued, Blackwood stood alone, his posture unwavering. The weight of his uniform was no longer just physical. It was a symbol of everything he had endured, everything he stood for. When the court reconvened, Harrington addressed the courtroom. "I've seen many things in my years as a judge, but nothing has been as profound as this. A man's pride is one thing, but the honor of an institution is another. This is not just about a tourist mocking a royal guard. It's about what happens when we forget the sacrifices made by those who serve." The judge's words were more than just an observation. They were a recognition of the deeper significance of Blackwood's actions. The courtroom had witnessed not just a confrontation, but a powerful reminder of the strength and dignity of the royal guards.